Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TC Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the recent product announcement for the Tulare Community College and Flesh and Blood collaboration, talking about the starter kit, some of the heroes that were shown now, all 4 heroes in the Ultimate Pit Fight 4-player starter kit, as well as talk about some new ninja cards that were spoiled, which is really the whole point of this video. And we'll kind of talk about that quickly here in just a second. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Feel free to check out the rest of my videos where I do Alpha Clash and Flesh and Blood content, mainly Flesh and Blood, and then just started to get an Alpha Clash. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much for supporting. As always, feel free to check out the Patreon and the Discord down below. We have over 400 members in the Discord now. Super active community. We're talking literally every day. A lot of positivity, so feel free to check that out. So I brought up the product sheet because I feel like the product sheet kind of actually shows like the coolest, like exactly what each hero is, and kind of gives you a feel really quickly. And I'll link the article link and Tulare Community College's YouTube video down below, where he goes over each deck and a little bit of like some of the cards in each deck at least. And yeah, then we'll talk about the ninja cards, because the ninja cards are really the cool part of this. So it's called Round the Table. It's from the Professor. About a year ago at Worlds, I think they announced the Professor would be doing an official collaboration with Legend Story Studios or Flesh and Blood, but really wasn't sure what it was going to be yet. And their first product is now coming out. It's going to be a 4-player starter kit, 4-player starter deck kit, centered around the Ultimate Pit Fight game mode. So 4 constructed blitz decks. It's going to feature a 22-inch rubber playmat for 1 person, as well as a storage box that allows you to fit 1,000 cards in it, right? Or all the cards that you're going to be getting, even more so. So yeah, 4 pre-constructed decks, each contain 40 cards, 1 rainbow foil hero, really, really cool, 1 weapon, 4 equipment and token cards, cold foil weapons for the Professor, Melody, and Brevant. So Ira will not be getting a cold foil weapon. Sad. That sucks. I wish she would. That would be kind of cool. 1 rubber playmat with zones, as well as packaged inside a reusable storage box that can fit, like I said, 1,000 cards, and it's designed around Ultimate Pit Fight. The starting price USD is going to be $70, which is pretty good for 4 decks, a storage box, and a playmat. That's about on rate. I mean, most time decks are what the pre-constructed blitz decks are around $15 to $20 anyway. So you're definitely getting your money's worth. I mean, it's arguably about $100 worth of product for $70, and it's a way to start off in the game, because Flesh and Blood's biggest weakness so far has been its starter level product. Really, we've only had the Dory battle boxes and the precons, and this is going to be a cool way to kind of bring people into the game and also just have fun. And I think it's going to be a really good introduction to people for Ultimate Pit Fight. The first hero is the Professor. Obviously, the Professor says Evos cost 1 less for each opponent that's still alive, like 1 less to play for each opponent hero, opposing hero. So these Evos that cost 3, if everybody is still in play, by how I'm reading it, they're going to cost 0 to play. They don't have go again, but basically what it seems like the Professor is going to be doing is you're going to start off with like this base level mechanologist equipment, and the Professor chose mechanologist because that's his favorite class. You're going to have this base mechanologist equipment in your equipment slots that doesn't really do anything, and then you're going to have these Evos in your deck that you play out to then upgrade your equipment. For example, the chest Evo says the Techo Blaster costs 1 less to play for each opposing hero. So if all 3 heroes are in play and Techo Blaster, it costs, let's just say 3, which is I'm assuming is what it's going to cost. Won't cost anything to play or to attack with. The headpiece does a different thing. The legs do a different thing. The arms give your Techo Blaster more power, things of that nature. And then there's some really cool cards like Apocalypse Automation, which says play this only if you have 1. I think it's 1 or more Evo equipped, and basically it says this attacks X target opposing heroes, where X is the number of Evos you have equipped. And so if you have 3 Evos equipped and you attack with this, it's going to attack every single hero for 6, which is really, really cool. And then other stuff that's just basically centered around the Evo archetype. Then you have a hero that I'm actually really excited for, just from like a thematic perspective, Melody Sing Along. It's a bard, so the first time we're going to have bard in the game. Melody is the life of the party, knowing just the right notes to hit to get the crowd going. Her songs create a plentiful flow of cards, energy, and action points that keep tempo of the game upbeat and entertaining for all. She'll soon have everyone around the table singing along to her merry tunes. However, all great performances must come to an end, and Melody's final act is sure to leave the crowd speechless. So what's really cool about Melody is she's all about like helping other people. All of her cards help other people. So her baseline ability says whenever you play a song, create a copper token per the number of heroes that are still in the game, right? So I think it's like if you have 3 heroes left in the game and you play a song, you get 3 copper tokens. And what's really cool about that is basically the whole entire game, you're going to be creating songs which do things for other heroes. So create a quicken token, create a might token. Each hero gains a life, and you're building these copper tokens. And then it's not on here, but she has a card that's called Final Act, which it costs 1 and it attacks for 1, but it says that this card gets plus X power, where X is equal to twice the number of pitch cards in all zones. So I'm assuming she's going to have cards that's going to make people pitch, and then she's going to hit somebody with a final act for like 15, right? Because, I mean, if you have, let's say you're playing Melody and you have 2 pitch cards, and let's just say for argument's sake, every single other player has 2 pitch cards in their zones, that's 8 total pitch cards, and you times that by 2. So it's going to hit for 17. That's the way I read it, which is pretty insane. The cool thing about Melody is she kind of embodies the spirit of Ultimate Pit Fight, where you're going to be like the politics of it, right? Like, I'll help you if you help me type thing. And she's basically building towards an end game where she's finally going to, go on the offensive. But she's a hero that if you're playing this 4-player set and you're not Melody, you're going to want to keep Melody in the game because all Melody's going to do is help you. But at the end of the game, she's going to turn very quickly. So it's really thematic to the Bard archetype, or like the feeling of being a Bard, entertaining others, and then coming in for this giant finale that just ends the show. Really, really cool there. Then we have Brevant, the Civil Protector. Brevant is inspired by one of the most common house rule variants we see out there in the UPF community, which is being able to defend for other players. A chivalrous protector for those around him, Brevant is a bastion of fairness and order and moderator of advancements on others. On Brevant's watch, civic duties shall be upheld, else he lays down the law, or they lay down the law. Basically, Brevant says Brevant makes stuff called might tokens, I think. Might tokens and chivalrous tokens. I'm not sure what those do yet, but basically it seems like his whole thing is similar to Melody. Like early game, he's defending for you, he's helping you out, and then he basically comes in at the end with big things called lay down the line and other things that are going to end things really quickly, right? And he can lay down the hammer very, very hard at the end of the game. But similar to Melody, it's going to be fun to watch people play with Brevant, because you're not going to want to attack Brevant, because Brevant's just going to keep helping you. Both Brevant and Melody just play on the politics of like UPF, or like what people know as Commander and Magic and things of that nature. So it's going to be really cool to see that. And then finally, what I wanted to talk about is Ira. So I'm going to bring up a big version of the cards here in just a second, but it says Ira is the bridge between learning Flesh and Blood and sitting around the table for your first fun-flowing game of UPF. Local game stores who order around the table Tulare Community College and LSS kits will also be shipped free of charge a carton of Ira welcome decks. That's really nice. Ira welcome decks are the best way to learn the basics of Flesh and Blood. For this reason, we suggest giving Ira the Crimson Haze deck to the least experienced player of the table, as it builds familiar foundations established through the welcome deck and interactive tutorial. So it's really interesting. In this kit as a whole, there's over 100 new cards. Now, they don't say like which deck has the new cards, but we obviously see some new cards here for Ira, and they actually took the Crouching Tiger archetype and put it into the Ira deck, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to bring up 4 new cards that they showed here in the Ira deck, and there might even be more. So this is just a taste of it. And the funny thing is, some of these cards are just simply for UPF. You can tell some of them have thematics with like commoner or like intro level play, but some of them, like this card Growl, are actually immediately competitively viable in Classic Constructed. So Growl is a 0-for-3 go again that says when this attacks, the next Crouching Tiger you play as combat chain gets +1. So it's a 0-for-3 go again with upside for Crouching Tiger. I really like this card. It's not a world ender, but the card is going to replace a 0-for-3 go again in a Kitty Katsu deck, and it's going to allow you to play cards that otherwise were a little bit harder to play. There's a card called Flex Claws, which it's a 1-for-4 go again, and it says if it hits, create a Crouching Tiger and you're banished, I believe. You may play it this turn. The issue is, unless you were running Shuko, Tiger Stripe Shuko, and you had played a 2-power before, that Crouching Tiger is not going to come in for any damage. So having this allows you to play Flex Claws. It hits, create that Crouching Tiger. Then you play Growl, and you tell them like, hey, if you don't block this, that Crouching Tiger that's made from Flex Claws is now going to be able to come in for 1 damage, even if you don't have a Roar of the Tiger or an Art of War or an Ancestral Empowerment or anything like that. So it creates more flexibility and more consistency for the Tiger Stripe or the Crouching Tiger decks. And it has really cool synergy with cards like arm pieces like Terry and Shuko, and even the leg piece that we're about to show here. So this is immediate inclusion in Kitty Katsu. And honestly, if we get 2 or 3 cards like this for the Kitty Katsu deck, it makes the deck a lot more fun and a lot more viable, I think. And I think they're trying to push the Crouching Tiger archetype into a more consistent, like similar to how Fi is always using his Phoenix Flame turn over turn. I think they're trying to do that with Crouching Tigers, where you're making like 1 or 2 tigers more consistently, basically to have more Kodachi effects instead of the whole deck revolving around this really big tiger swipe turn. I think they're trying to make it more consistent. So that's really, really cool. Then you have Mask of 3 Tails. This is basically an entry-level Mask of Momentum, which is really cool. They made an ode to Mask of Momentum here. It's an instant speed ability. It doesn't block for anything. It says, destroy this, draw a card. Activate this ability only if you have hit 3 or more times this combat chain. So, one, it works just like Mask of Momentum. It's just a one-time effect, and it's an instant speed. What's really cool about this is you pick when you draw. So you could have this big tiger swipe, or this big Crouching Tiger turn with like 5, 6, 7 links. And yes, you may have not hit 3 times in a row like you need for Mask of Momentum, but if you've hit 3 times in general, you just pop this at instant speed and you draw a card. So it's actually super good for especially commoner level play. I actually would probably play this as my headpiece in a commoner Katsu deck or a commoner Ira deck, Marine Ninja deck, really. It's really, really good card. Like I said, Mask of Momentum says 3 times in a row it has to hit, and an attack action card. This just says activate this ability if you've hit 3 or more times this combat chain. So you could have attacked 6 times. They could have blocked every other attack, but you still can draw. So really actually good entry-level equipment. I actually don't dislike this. It's only because Mask of Momentum is so good, but really this is just a decently good headpiece. Then you have Mauling Key. This card has I like so many things about this card. One, the artwork is sick. That's kind of like my number one thing about it. Really, really good. But it has a bunch of different aspects to it that I think people need to pay attention to. So number one is when this hits, if a Crouching Tiger was the last attack this combat chain, deal 1 damage to each opposing hero. So it has some UPF implementations for it, where you're able to basically hit every other hero that's still alive. It's a 1 for 5 that's potentially a 1 for 6 on the opponent you're attacking it, and it just has good synergy with the Crouching Tiger archetype, it seems, in the Ira deck. So that's like the UPF implications. When it comes to just ninja archetype implications, one, this is a good 1 for 5 combo piece. It's a 3 block. Now, granted, it doesn't have Go Again, but 1 for 5 is pretty premium in Ninja. You have cards like Pounding Gale, right? And even in Flesh and Blood in general, you have cards like Censor, Take the Tempo. Like 1 for 5, I know I just put out the Turtle Katsu video, but I see this as a good thing to put into a Turtle Katsu deck or like a mid-range Katsu. It's a 1 for 5 3 block that has synergy with Flick Flack, right? You're able to block 5 with this off Flick Flack. You're able to search for it at any given time and attack for 5, and it has decent synergy with the Crouching Tiger line. So I definitely think this is a good card. I'm not saying it's like a staple by any means, but I think it's actually usable outside of like this starter kit, and it's a really, really cool card. Definitely worth checking out once the kit comes out and we see all the other cards that go with it. And then finally, we got Pouncing Paws, which is really cool. It's a legs equipment for Ninja, rare, instant, destroy this, create a Crouching Tiger in your banish zone. You may play it this turn. So this is really good. Is it better than Snapdragon Scalers? I'm going to immediately go to like the constructed implementations of this. Is it better than Snapdragon Scalers? Probably not, but I think it has some really cool and unique things that you could do with Terry and Shuko at the arms piece, like being able to instant speed, say your next Crouching Tiger gets +2, and then instant speed activate Pouncing Paws to make another Crouching Tiger. Being able to potentially like go on a big predatory streak, Roar the Tiger turn, like you have 4 tigers, they're all at +1, and then maybe they let the first 2 tigers hit. You went and got a tiger swipe off of one of the tigers hitting. So now you're at your 3rd crouching tiger, and you have mask momentum as your headpiece. You could essentially instant speed, create another crouching tiger. So now you have 2 crouching tigers left before your tiger swipe. You could crack Terry and Shuko, and then all of a sudden now your crouching tiger's coming in for 3, so they have to actually block it with a 3 block to prevent mask momentum. And if you even combine that with Art of War, you could potentially have like a 4 or 5 power crouching tiger coming in right before your tiger swipe to try to threaten that mask momentum. Now, is that worth over snaps? Maybe not, probably not, but I think it actually has at least worth playing and having fun with. I can't say a word today. It has some really kind of cool use cases for that archetype, and something that I'm kind of just excited to try out, because the Kirikatsu list, although it's not as powerful as like the Bonds of Ancestry list or even like some other mid-range Katsu lists, it has a really fun archetype and really fun playstyle that I think people are going to want to check out. So that was the 4 cards spoiled. I think Growl is obviously the most important one, and it's one that has an immediate use case in the archetype for Kirikatsu. But overall, I'm super excited about this type of product, because it's going to allow newer players to have more fun in the game. It's going to expand on the UPF aspect, which, if we're comparing it to other card games, like Magic's biggest format right now is Commander, and I think it's the one side of Flesh and Blood that hasn't really been built out that can be built out. And I think I don't want Flesh and Blood to be too competitive. I would like to have some type of, standard format that's more fun, fun-loving, and, brings people together just to have, both from a casual and a competitive perspective. And I think that this type of kit will be able to help influence that in the future. I'm also excited to see what other stuff they come out with Tolarian Community College, because I think it'll be really cool for that. I'm not going to talk about meta implications for this kit combined with Bright Lights. We'll have to see what happens with that. This is going to come out right before Worlds as well as Bright Lights, so there is going to be probably some shakeup in the meta, or at least some things to think about, which some players like, some players don't, right before a big tournament. That is, it is what it is. But overall, super excited. The artwork's sick. The cards are really cool. Really excited to see what other maybe new cards Ira got, since if it's going to be completely focused around the Crouching Tiger archetype, she had to get more new cards in order to have more synergy. So really excited for that. But let me know what your thoughts are on the starter kit. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Ira cards in general. And I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much.